Hi, welcome. I'm Lori Glenn, and today's pose that we're going to work on is plank pose. Pretty popular one in a lot of other realms besides yoga, but a great yoga pose as well. Super powerful pose, full body pose, takes a lot of effort. So we're going to talk about some technique and some tips and some things to avoid today. So let's take it to the mat. All right. So just for the sake to give you a little bit better view, because the core has a lot to do with this pose, we're going to go shirts off. So we'll start on all fours. So there's a few ways you can get into this pose from standing from the floor. We're going to do this from all fours today. That's how we're going to get into the pose. So you'll go ahead and come into position for all fours or for tabletop, except you're going to take your knees back a little bit behind your hips. So maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 inches is going to depend on how long your torso is and how long your legs are, and you can make adjustments once you get into the pose. So just like your hands are aligned for downward facing dog or cat-cow, so remembering the hands are wide, index finger points forward, and almost as though you were trying to spin your hands outward but without actually spinning them on the ground. That's called isometric contraction. You're going to make that action, and that's going to take your shoulders away from your ears. This is a really important concept in this pose, because if you're not taking the shoulders away from the ears or externally rotating the shoulders, you end up with this pinched shoulder into your head kind of move, and then you end up with some internal rotation of the shoulders, and you can start to impinge on the nerves and the tendons and ligaments that run through the shoulders, which we don't want. So really important to externally rotate the shoulders, engaging the muscles here on the side. So get yourself prepped for that. Get your knees back behind your hips just a little bit, and then you're just going to tuck your toes. And from here, I simply like to instruct to push the heels back like you're trying to push them into the wall behind you, so much that your knees come up off the floor. So as I push my heels back, the knees come up. I come a little forward, and I find here that I'm more forward than I'd like to be. My shoulders are actually forward of my wrists. So I'm just going to adjust my stance a little and come back so that my shoulders are over my wrists. And then let me come forward so you can see my feet. If you take a peek at my feet here, my heels are reaching back. I'm not forward on my toes. My heels are reaching back, and then my toes are actually pulling forward. And when you pull the toes forward without actually moving them on the mat, you'll feel the whole front body engage. And that helps you to engage the front of the thighs toward the back of the thighs, so you're not dumping your hips down like this. This is something to avoid. And you're also engaging the core, the abdominal muscles, which help to lift the belly up toward the back of the spine, toward the low back. So you're not dumping the thighs forward, you're not dumping the hips down to the floor, and you're not collapsing in the shoulders like this. So you're pushing up and out of the shoulders. You're taking the low belly up toward the spine. You're taking the thighs, the front of the thighs, toward the backs of the thighs, toward the hamstrings, and then you're reaching back through the heels while you pull forward through the toes. And then remembering your external rotation of the shoulders, so you're not coming up and forward around the ears. You're drawing the shoulder blades down and back alongside the spine. So go ahead and take the knees down, and you can take a child's pose from here to stretch it out. So that's plank pose. Sounds or looks, I should say, pretty easy, but it's got a lot of components to it. There's a lot going on. It's a full body pose. So remembering those alignment principles and those concepts is going to help you to stay elevated off the floor so you're not dumping into the hips and the thighs, and it's going to help you stay strong. Also remembering to reach your tailbone away from the crown of the head so you're getting really long through the spine. So that's our pose for today, plank pose. Give it a try at home. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for coming. Namaste.